let's talk spinnerbaits and downsizing. If you've been following the Fishyaker series for very long, you know my favorite lure to throw is a spinnerbait. And yes, there are more brands of spinnerbaits out there than there are pizza joints in a New York City phone book. Basically, these are a great all-around idiot-proof lure. You toss them out, you reel them in, you can, obviously you can, change up your speed of your retrieve, put a little bit, jerk bait style action, you can always, tinker around with the way you're working these lures, but overall, you cast it out, you reel it back in. There's a number of different styles out there. Obviously, we're very familiar with them. Different types of blades, different weights, colors, some are a lot more, technically manufactured than others, the materials of the wire, you name it. But one thing that's often overlooked, and if you look around on videos, there's not a whole lot on it, is about downsizing your spinnerbaits. We know, we've been reading about it for years and seeing videos, and every TV show out there on television that talks about fishing talks about downsizing, especially if you're fishing some tough conditions, or you know that typically in an area and lately spinnerbaits have been working for you, but now you're having problems with them. Don't overlook, if you love throwing a spinnerbait like I do, to downsize. Okay, so here, before, after. You can always downsize the size of spinnerbait you're using. There's a number of different ways you can do it. You can, what I've done also is simply take my larger spinnerbaits and cut down the wire. We can tinker around on that in another video sometime to kind of shorten the gap, the spread here. But most manufacturers simply make a smaller size spinnerbait. I love throwing smaller spinnerbaits. You'd be surprised. Yeah, you think, wow, that looks like a spinnerbait you might throw for crappie, or smaller bass, or even just smallmouth. But you'd be surprised. I've won a ton of tournaments. Most of the tournaments I've won over the years have been on spinnerbaits, and a lot of them have been on downsized spinnerbaits. Don't overlook it. So if you're out there and you're having a, fishing and, the bite seems to turn off, and you throw on a spinnerbait, but normally they've been biting on it, just downsize your spinnerbait. So if you go out and you buy some new spinnerbaits, look for a smaller size. The one problem I seem to have with this downsized spinnerbaits is the weight of them. So that's why sometimes I kind of tinker with the larger sizes. But if you can get, and I'm not going to throw out different brand names, there's a ton of them out there, like I said. If you can get a smaller downsized spinnerbait, especially one with a little bit of weight on it, they come in really handy. They're great for throwing in shallows and around structure, but if you can get a heavier one, or add some extra weight to it, a number of different ways you can do that also, obviously, and get it down a little bit deeper. A lot of times, this will actually, very much, as we always say too, match the hatch and mimic the prey that they're looking at. So sometimes a big honking spinnerbait, and again, this isn't that big, but a larger spinnerbait, maybe a little bit more than what they're in the mood for, you can just downsize it. So, hope the tip helps you out. If you like throwing spinnerbaits, don't forget to try out some smaller ones. If you've tried spinnerbaits in the past and you haven't had a lot of luck with them, also try a smaller spinnerbait. It works really well. Large fish will still go after these, plus you can also get onto a lot of those smaller species too, like crappie and so forth. So, don't forget, if you're downsizing your lures, you can always downsize your spinnerbait. Thanks for watching Fishyaker.com. As always, please be sure to subscribe to our Fishyaker YouTube page, like us on Facebook, and we'll catch you on the water.
Fishyaker.com, the original kayak rigging video series.